The sixth edition of the Angola Oil and Gas Conference comes at a time when Angola celebrates the country's 50th independence and 50 years of Angola's oil and gas investments, the backbone of the country's economy. Key stakeholders from the public and private sector used this opportunity to highlight some noticeable achievements in this industry and what the future of oil and gas looks like in the years to come. NJ Ayuk, Executive Chairman of African Energy Chamber, opened the event with some remarks of his own.
50 years of resilience, 50 years of a nation that fought through its independence, but 50 years of a nation that came together to continue forging ahead. But 50 years, more than 50 years, but with those 50 years, an oil and gas industry that stood up through turbulent times, stood up when nobody believed it could, stood up when people gave up on the country. It kept going. It kept believing in itself. That is Angola at 50 when it comes to oil and gas. It is resilience, it is push on and moving on in spite of the insurmountable odds set on the path of this country's growth. It kept going. That is the Angola. But through that, we got bumps as we go. Sometimes we rear off our road, but then it comes back. Over the last few years, my Angola at 50 has been an Angola of reforms. Reforms that transcend not just the economy, but the people. Reforms that made us proud, and reforms that made companies that left to continue believing again. Reform that made its people to decide that we can be part of this match, and we can match on, and we can be those people that drive a new generation that drives the country forward for another 50 years. With those reforms, we saw taxes being reduced. We saw better fiscal terms. We encouraged companies to drill. Those three words are coming, not yet now. But as they kept moving, they kept building on the progress. The creation of ANPG became very transformative, driving a nation that once was in the past, but became a nation that showed an African benchmark for the future. I love this story so much, I decided to embark on a big project, writing a book about Angola. I think I've written some very good best-selling books, but the one about Angola is going to be my best. And if you live here without buying it, then you know you're going to be in trouble. As I set out that path, Mr. Minister, on writing that book, I got a call from the Wall Street Journal and from Simon & Schuster. They loved the story so much, and they said, keep going. Then the pressure came. I decided I was going to be a student. And throughout that journey of being a student in this great country, I learned so much. I learned so much. I was worried I was not going to be here this morning because I ate so much fungi, and that's how deep I got. That stuff is so good. If you haven't had it, please do. Please do. Who likes some fungi in this place? Who does? Come on now. Now you know it's happening. I love that stuff. I think I keep coming. I've been here 3 times the last 2 months. I keep coming for it. But as we build, we look at what these reforms really mean. These reforms and these changes and in these next 50 years, it has to be about something. It has to be about people. People making sure that this country keeps moving forward. It has to be for those young women that stood up here and those that cannot be in this room, that dream every day that they can work in oil and gas. It has to be for women that still sit out this other industry where our percentile of hiring, promoting, empowering women businesses are low. Our industry has to be different. We have to change it. Women can no longer be the last hired and the first fired. We can do more, guys. We can do more. We need to stop making those excuses. And that goes the same when we talk about local content. Angolan companies have to be right in the front row, the drivers of the future. And when those international service companies, when we get the big projects, tell the Angolan companies, come eat at my table. Pull them in the front. Government has done its best to open up, but we as an industry have to do better. We owe it to this country. We owe it to the Angolan champions. We need to develop the Angolan champions. That's how we push this industry forward. That's how we become better. That's how we say thank you to the president for giving us leadership and these reforms. We pay him back by investing in Angola, but also investing in Angolans. Can I get an amen for that? Come on. But as we keep going, as we keep ending this, and see, I ran out of my time. He never give me much time. But as we keep ending this, we have to push forward. Pushing forward is knowing where we stand as an industry. Global forces that will tell Angola and Africa that don't produce oil and gas, while they are producing so much oil than you've ever seen. Oil is going to be part of this country's future. Yes, we want green energy. We have no problem with that. I know some people in Germany are having some mental treatment with windmills, but we are okay with natural gas, and I see how Angola is moving forward. We cannot hold back on driving oil as part of the future of this country. This country is going to pave a path. In spite of what people say, we will stick by those 3 words that have driven human flourishing, that has made people increase life expectancy, that has made the world move, that has driven machinery and heavy industry that's going to be part of that. I urge every Angolan, and Mr. President, we have one demand from you. Produce every drop of oil and gas you can find to better the life of Angolans. Do not stop and do not listen to them. And how do we do that? Those 3 words. Drill, baby, drill. That's going to be our path forward. That's our energy transition. That's Angola growing. And that is how we continue supporting this country to become what it truly deserves to be, an African country that is always going to be on top. Thank you so much, and thank you for everything. And Mr. President, congratulations. That's why we make you the Energy Person of the Year this year for Africa. Well-deserved, Angola, well-deserved. Thank you.
Giants from the sector used this platform to celebrate their commitments to Angola and Angola's oil sector, unpacking investments that helped drive the country's economy.
Any journey in Angola has been characterized by a long-standing, fruitful collaboration, fostering development and delivering significant achievement, particularly in the oil and gas sector. We have pioneered projects with a strong focus on time to market in a complex environment and cost-effective execution through our ongoing commitment to apply new technologies. That has been always our first priority. One outstanding example is Block 1506, which showcases our concrete achievement. Here, we have reached an impressive 82% success rate in exploration wells and discovered almost 6 billion barrels of oil equivalent of exploration resources. These milestones reflect not only our consistent effort in exploration, but also our dedication to building local capacity and creating long-term value for Angola. Moreover, we strengthen our position in Angola through Azul Energy, which represents a bold step forward. This joint venture between BP and Eni merges our strength into a focused and effective entity by combining the technical expertise and integrated project support of both companies. It is early phase. Azul has already demonstrated safe, efficient, and impactful operation, achieving excellent results. But more than that, it is a strong financial and industrial company for future exploration, development, and innovation, designed to deliver enduring benefit for Angola energy sector. Since the inception in less than 3 years, Azul invested more than $5 billion In this year, 2 billion. In the next 4 years, the plan to invest additional $5 billion. At Eni, we believe the future of upstream lies in new technologies consistently paired with fast-track development. And the Agogo integrated West Hub is a primary example combining FPSO technology and subsea infrastructure with a streamlined and phased project execution. Such approach allows us to risk optimize investment and shorten time to value. This project reached the first oil in just 29 months from final investment decision, 10 months ahead of schedule. So for that reason, we always put a stress on time to value. It's true that we have to be secure, but it's clear that we don't have to waste time. And that is a priority for us, for Eni, for OBP, for Azule. Crucially, Agogo is being developed with a clear goal, net carbon neutrality over its entire life cycle. This commitment is not an abstract future promise. It is being realized today through electrification and the reduction of flaring and a unit on the barge to capture CO2 through a CCS project and inject. So it's true that we're going to produce oil, produce gas, but we have to produce a low carbon fuel. We have to reduce emission. That is a primary priority for us and I think also for the country. Furthermore, we are confident that natural gas will play a central role in Angola's future, diversifying the energy sector, reducing and driving ongoing economic and social development. Together with our partners, we are advancing the new gas consortium project in Queluma and Macabero field, the first country's first non-associated gas development, which will unlock new energy resources and ensure a reliable supply for the Angola LNG plant. In addition, Azule Energy recent Gagagera discovery, the first dedicated gas exploration well drilled in Angola, will make even more resources available for the country's growth and prosperity, and also diversification of gas utilization, as we discussed yesterday with the minister.
And our story continues to evolve. Most recently, as you heard from Claudio, on the partnership between Angola and Azule Energy, a BP and ENI company, Angola's largest net producer. A business highly equipped, expertly led, and deeply committed to delivering for this nation. So today, I'd like to offer a few thoughts of what we've achieved together and what I see as our shared energy future. First, the achievement. We're very proud of Azule. 5 weeks ago, 180 kilometers offshore, we saw the triumph of planning and execution. First oil from the Agogo FPSO, our third on Block 1506. It was a complex project. The FPSO is state-of-the-art, fully electrified. It's piloting world-first onboard carbon capture and storage system, something that's really only been done onshore in the sector before. Azule has lifted 30,000 tons of equipment onto the vessel, 4 times the size of the Eiffel Tower. And despite this complexity, fabrication in multiple yards across the world, the teams achieved project startup almost 1 year ahead of schedule, something very, very rare in our sector. At peak, we expect production from the integrated West Hub to reach 175,000 barrels of oil per day, helping Angola maintain the million-a-day target. But there's more to Azule than barrels lifted or revenues raised, vital though these are. This is a company that seeks to make a lasting contribution to Angolan society, creating highly skilled local jobs, with 85% of the jobs at Azule being local Angolan workforce. There's our long-starting partnership on landmine clearance with the Halo Trust, projects in health, financial education, cleaner cooking stoves, and building schools. and of course, importantly, to support Angolan local enterprise. So far, Azul has spent around 2.7 billion with a local supply chain, a very, very high number as compared to the rest of the world. Now, behind every job, every barrel, every project is partnership. So next I want to thank the many friends and partners who have helped shape Azul's success. Our goal was to create a company that combined the best of BP and ENI, but could build its own identity as an independent producer, confident, capable, committed to Angola for the long term. And I think that's what we have achieved, and we look forward to great things from it moving forward. With the long term in mind, now let's take a look at the future. Earlier this year, BP's Supply, Trading and Shipping Organization opened an office here in Angola for the first time. Why? Because there's a massive opportunity still to come. Growing demand, a growing economy, growing societal ambition. Just look at Azul's project pipeline. The new gas consortium, as Claudio mentioned, Angola's first non-associated gas project, and work is well advanced on the processing plant at Soyo, and the drilling program continues at pace. Then there's Block 31, the Paj field, where development concepts are now in discussion, and something that's very exciting to me is ZIC, the cross-border zone of common interest, where the two nations have come to agreement on developing a cross-border resource. This is not easy to do, and I commend both nations for moving this forward.
Investments in Angola's oil and gas have seen an increase over time, but the country still faces a decline in oil production as the global movement toward energy transition remains strong. Speaking at the Oil and Gas Conference, the Ministry of Mineral Resources, Petroleum and Gas speaks out on the government's strategy to mitigate these challenges.
We brought back Petrobras and Shell, and we attracted new strategic partners as Petronas and Qatar Industries. And to mitigate the decline in the production, we approved various instruments, amongst them strategies of bidding and exploitation. The strategy of the initiation of blocks resulted up to now 35 adjudicated blocks, namely 18 in the basin of Congo, 11 in Kwanza, and 6 in Namibia. Therefore, we have concluded negotiations for another 13 concessions, which its contracts are under negotiation. Between 2017 up to 2025, we have renewed various blocks contracts with a special highlight to the special contract of Block 0, 14, 15/6, 16, and 18, which its new terms have allowed not only to maintain the contractors in the country, but as well as to increase the revenues for the Angolan state. Between 2017 and 2024, the investments in oil concessions, which are active and new contracts, have made a total of 74 billion US dollars. And this added to 79 billion US dollars that are invested in the various concessions that have been attributed. Our current action is directed to mitigate the decline of production with an objective to maintain it above 1 million barrels of oil, which for its new investments are for the development and reinvestment. So since the last conference, we have concluded various activities which led us to the beginning of the Agogo field in Block 15/06 and Block 16 and Block 17/07 and plutonium fields in Block 18. Now, aggregated to these actions, we have drilled successfully exploitation pits. We have discovered more than 80 barrels of oil, which adds to more than 1 trillion cubic field of oil. To complement this action, various projects that had been sanctioned in the past years now are under execution in offshore, such as Source&Dollar project in Block 0, which is being finished, and the project Dungu in Block 15/06. Another important project is the Camino, the first development in the maritime project in the basin of Kwanza, which its building of the platform has begun in China in 2025 April, and the component of local building has begun on the 29th of August with the cut of the first steel in Petromar in the municipality of Ambrish. Likewise important for the mitigation of the decline of production is the fiscal regime, which is applicable to the current jurisdiction, which incentivizes the oil sector above the agreed volumes between ANPG and between the matured fields. Likewise important is the exploitation strategy. Geology studies performed in the basin of Kasanj, which has driven the high performance of hydrocarbonate, and we also have ongoing studies in the Tosha Okavango basin. Natural gas is the strategic key on the energetic strategy. In this context, the new construction of gas, created in 2020, is developing the first two gas field non-associated, Kilung and Mabokeiro, for which first gas is previewed for still this year. Adding, we have to highlight the drilling of the Gajajera 1 field, which shows the perspective of the gas sector and the creation of a domestic industry for the natural gas, the generation of electricity, fertilizers, and for the petrochemical industry. And the continuation of this is to prioritize the self-sufficiency in fuels and reduce the importations. By fulfilling the refinery of Luanda in 2022, we inaugurated the Kabinda refinery this week, and we continue with the building of the Lobito refinery whilst we re-evaluate the Soyo project. The inauguration in the beginning of this year and in the bar of Dande with a capacity of more than 3 cubic meters, we created the conditions to reposition Angola as a new regional center for products coming from oil. With the approval of the Decree 201, we improved the legislation about local content and for the participation of the local companies. The commitment is to widen the quality of this partnership, guaranteeing the creation of riches for the Angolan companies. Whilst we consolidate, Angolan invests in biofuel and renewable energies. This way ensures that our ways should value all the ways of energies committed with a fair and balanced transition where sustainability of energy, environmental sustainability, and to the youth, I leave a trust message that the energy future of Angola is in your hands. With dedication, we will build the next 50 years of the oil national industry. Angola will continue to reaffirm itself as a reference of resilience, innovation, and sustainability in the Angolan African continent and in the world. I wish that the debate in this conference may inspire new ways, innovation for the continuation of our industry, for the global energetic security, and for the improvement of the livelihood of our population. Thank you very much.
The president of Angola remarked that oil and gas remains the backbone of the country's economy, but laid out Angola's strategy to remain a key player in the energy sector.
Exploration and production of mineral resources, with particular emphasis on oil, has contributed for getting resources that have been supporting the multi-sectoral development of the country and consequently contributing to the improvement of the living conditions of the populations. Ladies and gentlemen, the 50th anniversary of the national independence is an occasion for us to celebrate, but also a moment for reflection on how to ensure that in the upcoming years the natural resources may benefit more effectively the future generations and striking a balance between economic growth, social justice, and environment protection. Angola is lacking increasingly of investment, know-how transfer, and innovation that promote sustainable exploration of its resources, development of local content as facts of competitiveness, and the use of renewable energies ensuring that the oil and gas sector may continue to contribute to the improvement of the living condition of the Angolans. On starting my first term in 2017, the government adopted a number of legal instruments in order to respond to the challenges of the oil sector and provide a business environment that will allow to compete with market in attracting private investment. With a view to overcoming many of the constraints I identified at that time that would, amongst other evils, affect negatively the oil and gas exploration and production at a short run, we redefined a governance model of the oil sector, making it clear and more effective the activity of the various entities, namely those of supervision, concessionaire, regulation, oversight, and operation. Excellencies, dear investors, ladies and gentlemen, the Republic of Angola provides investment conditions that ensure contract stability, legal certainty, foreseeability, and due return according to the best international standards. We would like to have partnerships that contribute to the common good for the empowerment of our communities and development and sustainable development of our country. Cooperation between private and public sector, between investors and regulators, connected to local knowledge and international experience will be determining in achieving these aspirations. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the 6th edition of the Angola Oil and Gas Conference and Exhibition is being held at an outstanding moment for the national oil industry, characterized by sharp decrease in production. In order to overcome this challenge, the Angolan executive, and in particular the Ministry of Mineral Resources, Petroleum and Gas, in collaboration with its supervised bodies, have been making efforts to implementing programs and actions aimed at mitigating this situation, with special focus on the 2020 to 25 exploration strategy, the 2019 to 2025 bidding strategy, and capturing new private investment in order to propel the development at all value chain of the national oil industry, with the ultimate goal of generating wealth and prosperity for the country and for the Angolans. Hydrocarbon exploration and production on the Angolan onshore should be stimulated and promoted, taking into account the low operational costs and the need to take heed of the whole existing potential, if we are to consider the studies conducted and some concessions already granted that should effectively start producing. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Angola maintains its aspiration of affirming itself as a competitive producer of hydrocarbon by contributing significantly to the global energy security, and it is committed with energy transition in Africa and the world at large. The Angolan government recognizes the seriousness of climate changes around the globe and its increasingly pernicious effect to the nations and peoples. Nevertheless, this situation should be approached ensuring the right to the hydrocarbon producing countries such as Angola to develop their own mineral and hydrocarbon resources for the benefit of their own populations. The Angolan government understands that the activities in the oil sector should promote responsible and sustainable exploration of fossil energy resources, channeling part of these resources and technical capacity to gradually boost and strengthen the emergency of renewable energy industry, namely the solar, wind, biomass, and others. Thus, it's worth to recall that the stakeholder in the activities of oil and gas production and exploration in Angola were instructed to adopt mitigation measures and compensation of greenhouse gas emissions, amongst which we highlight the elimination or reduction of gas flaring, adoption of operational equipment that are less pollutant, the protection and conservation of wildlife, as well as implementation of programs for forestation and or reforestation. We do reiterate our commitment of continuing to work in close cooperation with international partners and organizations for sustainable production of our oil resources, thus contributing to the energy transition as well as to the diversification of the national economy. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in the oil sector, local content assumes a strategic importance as it ensures that the benefits of exploration of natural resources are shared in a fair and sustainable manner with the Angolan society. Efficient implementation of local content policies demand a solid and continuous commitment between the state, the operating companies, investors, and all other partners of the private sector. It also demands, equally, the establishment of an environment whereby competence, quality, and competitiveness of national companies are not only recognized but also actively promoted and valued. The Angolan population is mostly young. For this reason, we should forward the energy and creative potential of this strata of population to the service of our economy. For this reason, it is fundamental to pay special attention to the young people. The oil sector should also play an active role in creating opportunities for internship and promotion, the first job for the Angolan youngsters, including all the value chain of the oil industry. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I wish that this conference should be a space of constructive dialogue for sharing ideas, experiences, and knowledge of building long-lasting partnerships so that we may work together in order for the oil and gas sector to continue being an instrument of economic and social progress, a sector that generates wealth, creates jobs, develops infrastructures, promotes innovation, technological innovation, and upholds and respects the environment. With these words, I declare open the 6th edition of the Angola Oil and Gas Conference and Exposition 2025. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Concluding the Oil and Gas Conference, CNBC Africa's Fifi Peters took to the stage to find out what Chevron's strategy is to oversee their oil and gas assets in Angola.
For Chevron, we have an established position here. We've talked earlier today, my colleague Cecil Tino did a great job outlining the history in Block 0 and 14, and we have responsibility to continue producing that for the decades to come. And for us to do that safely, reliably, means that we have to be competitive and efficient in how we operate. We also, Chevron's been a pioneer in the gas business. We had the opportunity to be a foundation partner in Angola LNG, which was an opportunity to take associated gas, be able to transport it to Soyu and build a liquefaction facility that then exports that gas to the world markets. This foundational project really opened up what is the potential for natural gas in Angola. So I think about my opportunity here is to help continue to be a pioneer and continue to evolve the gas business here in Angola.
So you said something really interesting about the timing right now, and I reflect on the fact that you have been at Chevron for a very, very long time, not giving away any age. But in this time, you worked across many parts of the world: China, Cyprus, Egypt, Indonesia, Kurdistan, the region of Iraq, Namibia, Thailand, United Kingdom, now Angola. You just said that now is one of the most exciting time for your industry as well as this country. Why now?
We're at this pivotal moment where we have an environment by which we're here to think about unlocking the future potential of Angolan resources, both from a potential to help continue the liquids production that we've invested in for many, many years, and then also opening up the gas markets. I think there's an opportunity to be a part of something very special here. So Chevron's been invited to participate with the government in the establishment of a gas master plan that thinks about utilization of gas for both domestic uses, thinking about building industrial opportunities to be able to monetize gas, but then also to unlock the full potential of the gas resources and to continue having the ability to export gas to the world markets. I think all of that's achievable. I really appreciate the vision that's been set by the government in Angola. And for Chevron, we look to be a meaningful, impactful part of that future here. So both excitement for a long history of what we've been able to accomplish here in Angola, but then also looking at what we can do to unlock the full potential of the resource here in Angola.
Right.
Really, for us, Chevron, we think about improving lives, enabling human progress, and that couldn't be more important to what we do here.
Right. So I know master plans, a lot of people at the table, a lot of discussions, a lot of back and forthing, a lot of drafts and, second, third, and they take time is the point that I'm trying to make. So while the master plan process is going on, maybe you can also just talk to us a bit more about some of the immediate pipelines or things you do have in the pipeline right now as Chevron in terms of what you're doing in this country.
If we think about kind of our recent history here, it was outlined this morning, we've had a series of very successful developments. Lafua, the Sanyaline Gas Connector Project, South Angola, thinking about continuing to advance development here. All of those have the ability to continue fulfilling gas supply needs for Angola LNG. We have responsibility for over 60% of the supply to LNG through the Congo River crossing. It's also, for us, it's very important that we think about the partnership here in Angola. Each one of those projects had an extremely strong link to local content, developing and fabricating modules here. And so we see that partnership both of increasing capacity here in Angola, building capability for the organizations here, and building partnerships as a real foundation for the future as well.
Sure. You did mention that Block Zero and the extension of that concession up till 2050, so that you're going to be here for some time. And so in that time, perhaps maybe you can also talk to us about some of the key priorities right now, investment plans. You are welcome to draw reference to priorities around exploration, around production, and even maybe the transition to the carbon future in more detail if you can.
Thank you. Yeah, I would like to share something very exciting for us as well as we think about the future and we think about south of the Congo opportunities. To be privileged to be in 3 very significant blocks, 49, 50, and 33. And then yesterday to be able to share our partnership with Shell, to bring them back here in a meaningful, impactful way. I believe that in partnership with the government, partnership with Shell, that we have the right strategy to be able to explore the full potential of those blocks. It's still early, Fifi. We've shot the seismic data, we're processing it. But I'm confident that we will have the best technology available and the best engineers available to be able to assess those blocks. And so I'm very excited about what may come there. That takes some time to develop. I'm also very pleased to be a part of the Natural Gas Consortium. It was featured here, and what that opportunity has for Angola to continue providing a reliable supply of natural gas into the ALNG facility. So there is lots of potential, lots of runway to not only be a party to Block Zero until 2050 and beyond, but also to continue building and advancing our opportunities in other areas within the Angola, primarily south of Congo.
Of course, and a big talking theme so far in this conference is ensuring that as opportunities are being pursued and capitalized, particularly by large entities, even local champions, that they've done so in a manner that brings everyone into the circle, as in oils everyone's hands, as it were. So I'm talking about local content development. I'm talking about what you're doing by way of leveling up on inclusivity, as it were. So maybe you can just talk to us about what Chevron has got on the go and what you're hoping to level up there.
Well, thank you. And yesterday I had the opportunity to partner with CabShip on a panel, and it was a great example of what we've been able to achieve here in Angola. In 2024, we had $1.9 billion in really spend when it comes to goods and services. 91% of that was here with Angolan companies. And primarily, if you think about those opportunities of building sustainable, viable companies, CabShip was a great example. Today, with CabShip, we have 500 other employees working with us each and every day. And that's just one example of a lot of the capacity building that we've done. And that capacity has been instrumental to really the foundation of building other opportunities in Angola to really be able to export that talent to other operators, to other businesses, to other industries within Angola. So we're proud to have that history of building capacity and leveraging that to really sustain a viable business here.
Allow me to tap into my pink power, as it were. Just in terms of creating that value beyond the barrel, women are going to be a key focus, in fact, throughout the continent all over because of the level of exclusion right now across various sectors. What can you tell us about what Chevron is doing in that space?
Well, we're very passionate about gender equity, and I couldn't think about any more important aspect of our business to think about equality across it. For Chevron, I've been involved in quite a few initiatives where we enroll our male colleagues to advance in championing gender equity. I had the opportunity in Selma's here in Magashino to be a participant in Namibia, helping think about the early opportunities for women in their energy industry. And over the last 2 years, it's great to see advance and actually see some of the folks here today. But that's just about building a business that's inclusive, one that provides equality for all. And thanks for the opportunity just to share that ability to champion that's so important to us in the industry in Angola.
Of course, because inclusive business is good business for all. But thanks for the opportunity to sit with you right now, Frank. And I think that does it for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Fifi.